What's going on, everybody? So in this video, we are going to be covering what's going on in the crypto markets, as well as some up and coming projects you definitely want to check out. Now, before we go ahead and get started, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, the first project that we are going to be talking about is going to be Bang Olufsenthe. So if you are not familiar with this brand, so they're a brand that was actually started in 1925. So they have been creating products for quite some time. And so right now they're kind of known as this luxury premium electronics brands that creates a lot of speakers, right? So that's pretty much what they're known for. So you might have seen some of these designs before. I definitely have seen them in coffee shops, in museums and stuff like that in Los Angeles. And these are actually pretty cool when you see them, right? So from the Web 2 perspective of audio, like luxury product, they're definitely not cheap, and it's for a certain type of demographic, right? So they are going to be creating their own NFT. Now, just a disclaimer, I actually did talk to some of the team members who are in charge of this project, which was actually pretty good because they got to tell me their story, their intention, and what they're planning to do. And they actually did also give us whitelist opportunities for the Parallax community. So if you have a Parallax Genesis, make sure to check out our Discord. But I just want to let you guys know that. But I still will give my honest opinion, my honest take on it based on the information they told me. They did not pay me or anything to like say nice things about them. I'm just giving my honest opinion. So that is that. So going on the website, it's going to be called the BNO DNA, right? So the mint is going to be coming up 6 days from now. So it might be around, like 5 or 4 days by the time you see this recording. And how it pretty much works is that for BNO, right, it was your Bang Olufsenthe, or we'll call it BNO for this video to make it easier for myself. Their whole thing is like creating a digital collectible, right? So they already have these products that people already collect, right? So for example, some of these, like if you want to buy like the physical version of like this particular like music player right here, it's very limited, right? So you have to buy on secondary and like it would sell out instantly, right? So they have a lot of products that are very limited, and there's an appetite for this already. And of course they have the regular products that you can just buy online at any time, right? So basically they're going to get some of their most iconic products that they already have that have a lot of history. They're going to be turning it into NFTs. My question for them was like, okay, well, you can buy this NFT and then what are you gonna do with it, right? And so they were like, yeah, you can put it in your on-cyber, you can put it in your artifact space pod, for example, right? So, I think when it comes to having digital collectibles in those kind of living environments or in those type of museums, we're kind of a little far off from that in my personal opinion, because, people do have on-cyber and stuff like that, but it's not like super popular quite yet, right? Because I think the tech is just not as adopted in my opinion right now, and the VR technology is just not as great right now. But then in the future, I can definitely see that happening, right? So I guess for this, it's something that you put into your gallery. It's something you put into your like virtual house. Again, we're not there yet, but I can definitely see a future in that. And then from there, they actually have this interesting minting mechanic. So they have these things like DNA fusion, right? So it's kind of similar to, let's say, the Artifact CloneX vials, where you have this vial, then you put it into your sneaker, then it changes the skin of it. So for them, it's kind of like, okay, you have these like base models of these NFTs that you're basically going to randomly get like one of these 4, right? I'm not sure how the rarity distribution is, but you're going to get like one of these 4 like designs. From there, you're going to use your vial, which you will get later, and then you can apply the skin to your digital collectible, right? And so each one's going to be unique in a sense. So if you go on their roadmap, you start with the community first, the pre-sale, public mint, then you get the NFT, right? Then you're going to get the art vial, which you can apply to the skin. That's going to be the merge and reveal period, I believe. And then from there, you're going to be able to merge music into that NFT itself. Then you're going to get a vial for music, and then you're going to be able to use that vial into your NFT. So, when I look at this, it's like, okay, you got the base, you're going to add a skin on top, then you're going to add music into it. And then so it's kind of like this, they're creating like this minting experience, right? It's not for everybody, but for people who are fans of BNO and they are collectors, I can definitely see why someone would buy it. Now, when it comes to who are these artists that they're collaborating with to do these skins, right? Some of the artists is going to be Hakatao, Thomas Lin. We also have Shavin Wong, and I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Forgive me if I'm mistaken. But when you look at some of their OpenSea, this is the related project to the artist, right? Queens and Kings. So they have a project over here, Screens by Thomas Lin. So these are actually 3.33 ETH. So that's actually pretty cool. Actually, these are nice. And then we have the 3D virtual model creator over here. One thing that I did appreciate with BNO, what they were trying to do is like not just create a 3D model and just say, hey, it's an NFT, right? So they actually tried to work with generative artists who have been in the space already. And even the music that they're going to have, the music files, they also work with people like Rack, who I recently only became familiar with because of this project. He's been in the NFT scene for a bit, and then you can also see on his profile, he even rocks like the Noun DAO as well. You see the Noun glasses over here. So yeah, more like on that crypto native side. So I definitely appreciate that. So again, it's not for everybody, but it's for people that are fans of Bang Olufsenthe. And one of the questions I have for them was like, okay, like cool, like you have this cool minting experience, you got the art files, you got the music files, but then what's the utility, beyond this whole minting experience, right? What are people going to get? And then something they hinted at, they didn't want to reveal or promise too much, was that, in 2023, they want to do physical products, right? So you know how in NFTs right now, what's hot is you sell a digital collectible and a physical product that's also a collectible together, and then people like that, right? It's kind of like the Supreme model drop where, every so often you drop something that's high demand, low supply. When we're looking at these type of products over here, actually some of these are actually super expensive, like thousands of dollars, and they just sell out, right? And so if you potentially have the Genesis project, then you have opportunities to get these limited edition physical products, which pretty much just sell out. That's the more speculative side. They're not saying they're gonna promise it. They're saying, to be announced, physical product. That's kind of like what they hinted at when I had a chat with them. So I think the supply is gonna be around 2K. The mint price is going to be 0.469. Interesting choice. So it's definitely not cheap for a mint, but the supply is not like super high or anything, right? So price can only be high relative to supply. So just keep that in mind. If you want to check it out, they're minting next week. And again, wasn't paid to say anything nice about them. I'm just kind of explaining the mechanics of how it works because, for me, when I look at this, it's interesting to see what they're going to do because we're going to see other luxury brands come into the NFT space, trying to do digital collectibles, also trying to sell products. So it's definitely a really interesting case study for me to study at least. So if you want to check it out, follow them on Twitter, check out their website and see if it's for you. All right, so the next piece of news that we have for you is going to be the Sandbox. Now the Sandbox is going to be selling another plot or plots of land. It looks like they're going to be 1,900 pieces of land in 3 different waves. And I believe that's like selling 3 different tiers maybe, or like times. They're going to have a lot of partnerships for the Sandbox. Hard to say like how they got this partnership. Like, did they pay these people to want to advertise on it, or did these brands want to experiment with NFTs? Not very clear, but Snoop Dogg's in there, Paris Hilton, Tony Hawk, Playboy. I wouldn't be surprised if they pay these guys to like kind of endorse it in a sense. But hey, I don't know. So I mean, like if you go on OpenSea, you look at this land on the Sandbox right now, the floor right now is like 1 ETH. The volume is pretty crazy, 150,000 ETH. I mean, to be honest, like there are people building in the Sandbox. Like you see like all these people like doing voxels, especially during the last bull run. But for me, there hasn't really been a Sandbox experience that would want me to like actually like download the game and try it out and stuff, right? We've seen like Artifact do a Sandbox game, which I don't think really hit that hard. And we've seen other projects do it as well. It just wasn't as interesting for me, right? But it's interesting that they're also selling more land. I mean, when you sell land, you onboard new partners, you generate more revenue for your business and funding, and you can keep going, right? So I suppose if you kind of think of it from a long-term perspective, it could work out, right? Or it could totally not, right? Like we see like other plots of land, like Decentraland, like nobody's really using Decentraland. So I hope that's not the case. I definitely have seen some videos of people playing, Sandbox games. They don't look too bad. It's kind of like Minecraft or like Roblox kind of vibe. Personally, I have my own opinions about like selling land because you're kind of like just creating this like land out of thin air, right? But hey, if it works for them and people want to build on it and there's value in having lands in certain areas, great, absolutely great, right? But one thing I haven't seen yet is like, for example, let's say we see these lands, right? So if you have a plot of land that's like sitting next to someone else's plot of land, we haven't really seen a clear use case of like why this real estate would be particularly valuable in this specific spot. Like if your land is next to someone else, does that give you more traffic into your gameplay experience? It's just not clear, right? Originally, like a year ago, that was the whole narrative of like, I bought land next to Steve Aoki, so my land is more valuable, right? But then is it really though? Does it really get you more traffic? Does it get you more eyeballs? Maybe, maybe not, right? So it's like, it's really hard to say right now. But I mean, it's possible that people will just use it like a billboard, right? Like if you buy these plots of land, like this guy has like this big chunk over here, maybe that itself is the value that people like look at the map and you make a picture out of your land. So maybe that's the value over there. Not exactly sure, but again, very, very speculative. So just keep that in mind. All right, next project we're gonna talk about is going to be Nanoverse. So Nanoverse recently just dropped this teaser recently where they're gonna be dropping phase 2. If you aren't familiar with Nanoverse, they were originally called Nano Pass, and their first NFT was kind of like a piece of land, but it's not really like used like the same way Sandbox is. It's more like a digital or 3D like collectible. And then with that, the whole concept was that you would get like these black boxes, and then you would get like free stuff like every week or every other week, right? So they are still doing that. And then the next thing is that they're using the funds that they raised to create this 3D model. Basically what they're doing is like they're doing AI, right? So it's kind of like this is supposed to be like your virtual assistant, virtual girlfriend that you have on your computer, and it's supposed to be something that you can talk with. Now, it's unclear on how good the AI is in terms of like, are you able to have a conversation with this person? Is it going to be like the movie Her, where you like develop a relationship with this person? It's like, I don't really know, right? But then right now, they're showing the basics of the emotions of the character. Maybe it could be a thing, like, because in Japan, like, don't people have like virtual girlfriends and stuff? So yeah, so I'm definitely following along to see how it is. And if you want to check that out, check out Nanoverse phase 2. All right, now speaking of Japan, seems like some of the banks in Japan are doing a trial run for launching digital yen. So like kind of like maybe like USDC, but like, you know, for the yen, and they're doing it with some mega banks. So this is interesting because it's not just like a random team like creating like USDT or something like that. It's actually the banks who want to get in on the action. Now, why would they want to do this? Well, if you control the supply of money, then you kind of control a lot of the economy and how things work, because you can always print when you want. If people deposit their fiat for your digital currency, then you can use that to like invest in other things and then somehow make money, right? In some ways, you know, this is cool in that crypto might get more adoption when there's a digital yen or a digital currency that's supported by the government and the banks. On the other end, there's a lot more control, or I guess supposedly there's always been control when it comes to like government printing money, right? But it's digital, they can track everything. So, you know, there's pros and cons to both of that in my personal opinion. For me, when I look at this, it's like, okay, like as long as you don't do anything like shady, then it's fine if people track your money, right? But the thing for me is like everyone's looking at crypto, governments are looking at crypto, the largest companies are looking at crypto. So I know that we're in a bear market and everything like that, and their money is not moving around as much as it was before, but definitely I see a pretty strong future in crypto. And of course, maybe it doesn't work out, right? But there's so much eyeballs in crypto right now, so much attention, that I think if you're still in the space and you're still building or you're still involved in learning, I think there's going to be opportunity for everyone. In other news, we see Binance have a card in Italy. So it's like a Binance card. I think you're able to like use your crypto and convert it to cash and then like actually get it from the ATM. But I'm reading the comments, they're saying that how much is the withdrawal fee, right? And then probably like there's going to be a big tax or like a fee for converting the crypto and stuff like that. But it's good that if it's easier to convert your crypto into fiat and you can do it from an ATM, you don't have to like transfer from Binance to bank account and this and that, and you could just like take out cash. That makes it easier for everyone to use crypto, right? And so that's the goal. That's what everyone's trying to push for. So let's see if it works out. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is going to be Complexcon, that was recently just hosted in America. So Complexcon, I actually went to the first ever Complexcon way back in the day when I was living in LA. So basically what it is kind of like a convention, you would call it, for like streetwear. So it's like all the streetwear brands come together, show off their products. A lot of advertisers come and people just come and hang out and meet people. So it's more for that streetwear crowd. Now, the interesting part was that, you know, Coinbase was one of the bigger sponsors for this. So they collaborated with a bunch of different artists and creators like Jeff Staple, for example, and this other person, Emma, as well. So they had a bunch of different like NFT artists and models and stuff like that. So it seems like if you have a Coinbase wallet, you know, this is the advertising side, you can download the Coinbase wallet on your phone, go to Complexcon and then get the exclusive merch drops, and then, you know, part of the POAPs, right? So it's like proof that, you know, you were actually there, and then you got like an NFT for participating. So yeah, I mean, it's good to see like the whole streetwear culture, which, you know, I'm a big fan of and everything, right? Is kind of colliding with the NFT side. I mean, it's so similar, right? It's collectibles. So yeah, I mean, the event looked pretty cool. If I was living in America right now, I definitely would go. But if you want to check it out, they have the recaps and everything on their social medias. And so with that said, that's everything we got to cover for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And we're giving away some of the whitelists for Bang and Olufsenthe. So if you want to check that out, you got to pick up a Parallax Genesis for that. With that said, I will see you in the next one.